Right. Last month, I broke my lifelong rule of not making prediction videos, which I promised to do only in the case of World Cups and European Championships. As I said at the time, making predictions in the world of football will make a fool out of anyone pretty quickly, and to prove that point, I thought I'd take a look back at some of the absolute drivel that I came out with at the start of June, proving once and for all, as if it were ever in doubt, that I am an absolute idiot. I made 7 supposedly bold predictions before going through my full group stage and knockout stage predictions, all the way to who would be crowned as the tournament's champions. I'm not going to go through it all in such excruciating detail this time around. I'll just pick out each stupid prediction, compare it to what actually happened, and then you can all have a good laugh at my expense. It is a bit like therapy, but with Euro 2020 predictions. I'll put some kind of filter on the clips from the original video to make sure there is no confusion when I flip between the two. Okay, what was my first idiot prediction? Let's take a look. German group stage exit. Wrong. What an idiot. Well, I tried to make them bold predictions, and that one was certainly bold, though it was as bold as it was wrong. Germany bounced back from opening game defeat versus France to beat Portugal in some style, and then to draw with Hungary, thus securing themselves a safe passage through to the knockout stage as Group F runners-up, and a round of 16 tie with England at Wembley Stadium. In my defence, I did also say this. My thinking that one of the 3 will go out comes from the fact that I reckon Hungary will take points off someone. It's just a hunch. Now, Hungary not only took points off one team in Group F, they took points off 2, drawing with both Germany and France, despite being without their best player, and their second best player, conceding a penalty against Portugal. I said during my silly Germany prediction that I felt their tournament could go either way, and I think some of the more scathing reviews of Germany's performance at the finals have actually been rather unfair. I thought they made France work hard for a win, Portugal couldn't live with them, Hungary exhibited their stubbornness in all 3 group games, and on another day, Germany could have even beaten eventual finalist England in what was a very close game. Alright, let's try again. Turkey to reach the semis. Alright, this one is hellishly bold, but I don't think Turkey to be dark horses was quite as dramatic as a heading. Oh, for crying out loud. Well, it wouldn't have been as dramatic, but it would have been just as wrong, Alfie, wouldn't it? As I said, this prediction was hellishly bold, and I was aware of it at the time, but I certainly didn't expect Turkey to be anywhere near as bad at the Euro 2020 finals as they actually were. A compelling argument could be made, I think, for them actually having been the worst team at the entire tournament, and if not, then they were mightily close. I stand by what I went on to say in that video, which is that Turkey have 2 very good centre-backs, a talented right-back, some flair in midfield, and a veteran centre-forward that I like a lot. However, where I got it wrong was in thinking that there was a real togetherness about the Turkish team that could grind out results. We saw absolutely no signs of that in either Rome or Baku, and in truth, Turkey looked extremely lethargic and tired in, well, basically every game from half-time in the tournament opener against Italy onwards. Turkey lost all 3 group games, conceding 8 goals and scoring only 1, and the last time I was that wrong about something was when I said that Haris Seferovic couldn't hack it at a major international tournament. Sorry, Haris. Forgive me for I've sinned. You were superb. Next. Lukaku to win the Golden Boot. Well, that wasn't so bad, was it? I mean, it was still wrong, it's just not as embarrassing looking back with the benefit of hindsight, and here was my justification. He's my favourite because I think Belgium have quite a generous group stage, with all due respect, to Russia, Denmark and Finland. I can see him grabbing a few goals against those 3, and maybe a couple more in the knockout stage, and 5 or 6 goals tends to be enough to take the crown. Lukaku did indeed score a few goals against those 3 in the group stage, and 5 goals was also enough to win the Golden Boot. But Lukaku was only able to add 1 goal in the knockout stage, as Belgium were beaten 2-1 by Italy. That gave him an overall tally of 4 goals, 1 short of the total that I thought he would reach, which made him the joint second highest scorer at the finals behind Patrick Schick and Cristiano Ronaldo, who each scored 5. Ronaldo took the golden boot ahead of Schick by virtue of the fact that he recorded a solitary assist at the finals, while Schick did not. And UEFA use assists as the first tiebreaker in determining the Euros golden boot winner, should it be a tie. Alright, let's see if we can continue in a similarly respectable vein. Kante for player of the tournament. Well, let's not beat around the bush. I was totally wrong. Although, I still don't feel like it was the stupidest prediction. Kante came into this tournament on a high, but France went out to Switzerland in the round of 16, meaning he never had a chance of winning the Player of the Tournament award. In the end, that crown went to Italian number 1 Gianluigi Donnarumma, who was Italy's hero in their Euro 2020 final shootout win against England. Subscribers to the channel will know that I have long been a great admirer of Donnarumma and that I've defended his talents when they have come under scrutiny in the past. I have always, and still maintain, that he is one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and that he will be for the next decade plus. Having said that, I don't believe that he was the best player at Euro 2020, and had Italy not won the tournament, or had they even just won it by any method other than penalties in the final, I think the chances of him winning that award would have been close to zero. My personal preference would have been either Sergio Busquets or Raheem Sterling, though I thought Marco Verratti, Harry Maguire, and, even though France exited very early on, Paul Pogba were all excellent as well, and all but Pogba, who simply exited too early, would have been reasonable winners. I actually think Donnarumma was probably the third best goalkeeper at the tournament behind Jordan Pickford and Tomasz Vasilic. Pickford saved 16 shots, whilst Donnarumma saved 9, and both players saved 2 penalties in the final shootout, but Pickford only conceded 2 goals all tournament, and Donnarumma conceded 4. Still, Donnarumma is outstanding, and most of you know my views on football's vast array of silly awards already, and if you don't, I'll share a link to them at the end of this video. Okay, what have we got next? Kylian Mbappe for Best Young Player Award. I thought Kylian Mbappe would be miles out in front in terms of the Euro 2020 Young Player of the Tournament odds, but everything that I can find online has him nowhere to be seen. Phil Foden is the 4-1 favourite pretty much wherever you look, followed by the likes of Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, Nicolo Zaniolo and Matthias de Ligt. Right, so as it transpired, the rule, or so I am told, is that you had to have been born in 1999 or later, and since Kylian Mbappe was born on December 20th, 1998, he wasn't eligible, which does make sense. That wouldn't have made a great deal of difference, since Mbappe had a disappointing tournament by his own typically impeccable standards. He made just 1 assist and failed to score in 4 appearances, and he was unable to find the back of the net in France's 5th and final penalty in their shootout defeat against Switzerland. In the end, Spanish midfielder Pedri won the award, which I think was probably the right shout, though Danish wideman Mikkel Damsgaard deserves enormous credit for his performances, following that shock setback to Christian Eriksen, and Damsgaard all but carried Denmark into the semi-finals. Ferran Torres for the team of the tournament. You know what, I stand by this one. Again, obviously, it was wrong because Torres didn't make the team of the tournament, but he was really impressive, and Spain did perform better than a lot of people anticipated. I really like Ferran Torres, and I get the impression that he's got the kind of attitude required to keep improving and to cement his place even with such incredibly talented competition around him at both club and international level. He scored 2 goals and made 1 assist in 4 outings at Euro 2020, picking up the Man of the Match award as Spain beat Croatia 5-3 in extra time in the round of 16. Overall, I thought his performances were really impressive, but he didn't quite make the team of the tournament, with Federico Chiesa probably deservedly taking up a spot in that team over him on the right flank. Can you remember the last prediction? I can, because basically I did 6 predictions and then I couldn't think of another one, so I predicted something that nobody else would try and predict because literally no one cares who wins it, and here it is. Lorenzo Insigne for the silver ball. Yeah, I know, I did warn you. Nonetheless, this was actually probably the best of my 7 bold predictions, and I'll show you the next bit of that clip to show you all why. In fact, if anything, this is among the boldest and most random predictions in this entire 7, given the fact that Lorenzo Insigne hasn't even scored for Italy since 2019. At the time of recording, that is. It's possible that he could have scored in Italy's warm-up game against the Czech Republic by the time this video comes out. Nonetheless, he certainly hasn't scored a great many goals for Italy, just 7 from 40 caps, but I think Lorenzo Insigne has the potential to light up Euro 2020. He has been excellent for Napoli this season, making 11 assists and scoring 19 goals. And if he starts, I think he could add some real flair, invention, and explosivity to a talented and structured Italian team. Insigne did score in that warm-up game against Czech Republic, which Italy won 4-0, and he did go on to have a brilliant tournament. He didn't win the silver ball since he only scored 2 goals, but they were 2 excellent goals, the latter of which proved to be Italy's all-important winner against Belgium. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that one, despite it being wrong, and I still think Insigne is Italy's most talented forward. Now for my group stage predictions. Strap in because even I can't really remember how these went. I've got Italy, Belgium, the Netherlands, England, Spain and France topping their groups, which is probably the bookies' favourites on each occasion, meaning it is not only tedious but will surely be wrong since these things very rarely follow the script to that extent. Well, the group stage winners did actually go largely to script, meaning I got 5 out of 6 of those correct, the only exception being Spain, who ended up as Group E runners-up behind Sweden. So that's not bad, but also not all that surprising, so I won't take too much credit there, and we'll move swiftly on. I've then got Turkey, Denmark, Austria, Croatia, Poland and Portugal progressing as group stage runners-up. Okay, so in Group A, Turkey were rubbish, though we've already established that, and both Wales and Switzerland did better than I expected. Group B, I was pretty close, but Denmark, Russia and Finland all ended up being tied on 3 points, with only Denmark progressing as runners-up. Group C shaped up exactly as I predicted. In Group D, the top 2 were right, but Scotland and Czech Republic changed places. In Group E, Poland were absolutely terrible and finished bottom rather than second. And in Group F, Germany and Portugal traded places. My third place qualifiers were entirely wrong because all 4 either finished as runners-up, bottom in their group, or in Sweden's case, they actually topped it. From here on in, it is all a bit daft because I'm predicting fixtures that, with the exception of, I think, 2 fixtures, never actually happened, due to the group stages, unsurprisingly, not going exactly how I had predicted. I will draw your attention to just 2 of my predictions though, the first being this one. Italy squeak past Austria, possibly with the assistance of extra time. Well. Not looking quite so stupid now, am I? Yes, in an 18-minute video in which I predicted everything from how many throw-ins France would concede to the colour of Gianluigi Donnarumma's firstborn's eyes, I did actually get one thing right. Italy did indeed squeak past Austria in what most people expected to be a total walkover, but turned out to be a really closely fought tie. I thought Austria were unfortunate not to win that game, or at least take it all the way to penalties, but in the end, as I ingeniously predicted, Italy won it in extra time through substitute Matteo Pessina. The other one, just because it's England, that I'll show you, is this one. Right, I'm returning to that one because a round of 16 exit for England, on home soil, having reached the semi-finals of the 2018 World Cup, would seem bitterly underwhelming. However, outside of France, Portugal are potentially as tough as it gets in terms of Euro 2020 opposition, and England have a horrible record against Portugal at major tournaments in recent years. Don't get me wrong, I think England are more than capable of beating Portugal, and I would be delighted and not that surprised if they were to pull it off. But I do think, if that game is a round of 16 tie, that Portugal would be my favourites. I actually think that England would be far better served finishing second in the group stage, avoiding Group F's Titans early on, even if it means not playing at Wembley, in the round of 16 stage. I just think this England team might take a few games to really get going, and facing Portugal so early on would be tough. If they could build some momentum, gain some confidence, and really find their feet, then returning to Wembley later on in the tournament, I'd fancy them much more to be able to best one of Europe's big boys. This is all just wild speculation at this stage, but it is a prediction video, so what did you expect? And I thought I would devote a little bit more time to England, given that I'm an England fan, and so will be around half of you watching this video. Well, to be fair, I think I was both wrong and right there. For a start, obviously, England played Germany, not Portugal, so that goes out the window early doors. Portugal were much worse than I had anticipated at the finals, and had England actually played Portugal in a round of 16 tie, I suspect they would have won, and quite possibly in a more comfortable manner than they did against Germany. Having said that, I think I was right that it took England a little bit of time to grow into the tournament, and the game that saw them travel away from Wembley heralded their most convincing and confidence-boosting performance of all. So yeah, well done England. I think this team and manager are great, but they did even better than I expected, and I even got to watch 5 out of their 7 games, which was a real joy and privilege. In the quarter-final, I called this one pretty well. I think Belgium are a better team than Italy, but again, for some reason, my gut says that the Italians would win that game. The Azzurri have quietly grown as a team under Roberto Mancini, and I think they could become a really resilient team that are tough to beat and can give anyone a game at Euro 2020. I know it's probably hard to remember and doesn't feel like it now, but before Italy's opening game against Turkey, there weren't all that many people tipping them to do well at Euro 2020. They certainly were resilient and tough to beat, not tasting a single defeat all tournament, and ultimately being crowned as champions via a shootout against fellow unbeaten finalists England. Italy were the only team that I correctly predicted would make the semi-finals, and I had France down as my winners, though I did caveat that prediction with this. I think France are such standout candidates to win Euro 2020 that they probably won't because it just seems too obvious. So there you have it. All things considered, my predictions were pretty rubbish. Oh no, wait, hang on. Apparently there's another clip that I forgot to include. Play the tape. My guess of what will happen at this summer's Euros, as I said, is no better than yours, and I thoroughly expect to be proven wildly wrong about absolutely everything. So, there you have it, that's a bonus prediction for you. You can't go reminding me of things that I got wrong throughout the tournament now, because I also predicted that I would get them wrong. Well then, that puts a slightly different complexion on things. Germany didn't go out in the group stage, Turkey weren't the dark horses and certainly didn't get anywhere near the semis, Lukaku didn't win the Golden Boot, Kante didn't win the Player of the Tournament award, Mbappe wasn't even eligible for the Young Player of the Tournament award, so naturally he didn't win it, Ferran Torres didn't make the team of the tournament, and Lorenzo Insigne didn't win the silver ball. England also went on to reach the final, France not only didn't win it but went out very early on, and Denmark went all the way to the semis. So basically, aside from Italy beating Austria very narrowly in extra time, I absolutely nailed it. It's a shame I don't make these more often, but hey, I'm sure the next 2 years will fly by. That is it for today's video. Thank you all very much as ever for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And make sure that you are subscribed and have notifications turned on by just hitting the little bell icon for HITC Sevens. You can also find me on social media on either Twitter or Instagram, or both, via the username @HITC Sevens on both, should you wish to do so.